Hey everyone, today we're going to be playing a deck I made called Orzhov Berserker, and it's going to use the white and black colors. It revolves around the Blood Sky Berserker, which is a 1/1 that attributes counters on it if you play more than one spell a turn. So it's a good card for playing low cost creatures and spells. I like to protect it with the Selfless Savior and the Alcide. And of course we have Luris um, as our backbone to bring creatures back like the Archering Vessel, and perhaps protection like the Selfless Saber or Alcide. So I'll just be talking over some of the key moments of this game as we go, and I am doing a narration of it, so hope you enjoy. Thank you. So this first game that we'll play was actually a really fast start by me. I actually made a mistake. I played out which I thought was a mistake at the time, but actually worked out. I ended up playing a Vessel turn one and actually playing double black on turn two when I could have ran out a Selfless Savior. And it actually turned out okay not playing the Savior. I was able to buff out my Blood Sky Berserker, as you'll see. So we had to wait a little while before the game started, but then we get going. And this was a three-colored build. I think he was playing Mardu. But it definitely was just kind of felt Rakdos, which is a red and black combination rather than red, black, and white. So yeah, I could have probably ran out the Savior there, and I was like, oh man, kind of a mistake. But in hindsight, it didn't really matter to run it out. I wouldn't really be protecting anything, just putting the dog at risk. And we get the trigger from the Blood Sky Berserker. It's just a really good top deck. So it worked out. So turn three, we have a big board presence now. A couple of life linkers there that he doesn't really want to target because I do have my Luris. I have a 3/3 now that has the possibility to continue to grow. And this was like a really good game. He actually had a very good response to my start. Okay, so then it was my go. And I had a really good draw again and drew another Berserker. I know we needed to play too much white with this deck, so I just ran it out with black. And we took out the giant, get our triggers, and we go in to at least get him down to like about a 9. Yep. So he needs a big response on this turn. He gets his 4th land going. At this point, I felt very much in control with the deck. I really didn't think he had much of a chance or her a chance to respond at all. But they had a nice Akroan War here. They were able to take the untapped Berserker. And it was kind of interesting blocking on this turn, I thought. I buy the Luris and I go in for a hit. And they choose to block a Vessel. Which is actually... Maybe they thought they were going to be able to steal the token I'd make. That's sort of what I gathered was their plan at that time. To get a hold of some more creatures. Probably realize that my Berserker is getting too strong right now. So they take that. And they end up hitting me for a good amount of damage right now. And killing off the Berserker at the same time. with the village rights. They take out another vessel. I just didn't really know the thought process behind that. Like I said, maybe they thought they were going to be able to. They weren't mind if I threw out those demons, I guess. So we're going to go for the vessel. And we'll run out the dog as well. And we must attack with the dog on this turn. So it will just die. So it looks like they probably ran out of village rights. They end up possessing the Luris this time and sacking it, but I think they ran out of village rights for the to handle the demon. So that was checkmate. So no blocks here. Takes them back to 5. And you'll see he ends up scooping here in about a minute. There's lots of cards in hand. He must have flooded out. No removal for the demon. Well, I have the Selfless Savior to make him indestructible. I guess I need 2 sets of removal. And that was it. That was a good game. Good game for us to beat the creature hate deck. Good start. This next game was fantastically awful and amazing at the same time, because I kept the 1 land hand. I just got a little frisky, and I kind of liked my options. I checked if there were a Yorion deck, and they weren't. So I assumed they were played creatures, and you can see it's probably not the best practice to, keep a hand like this, but it's pretty loaded, and I have low casting cost creatures, so if they do play a creature, then I will have a very good chance of decking a land. And we will see on turn 2 that they oblige and play a creature. So we go ahead and do not get a land on our draw, and we end up not getting a land on our second draw. So now we missed a land drop on turn 2 and look kind of foolish. Yeah, this game shows, though, how resilient this deck is. And of course I was on the play, but man, it's looking really bad for us at this time. And I was like, there is just no chance we're going to come back in this game. I was like ready to scoop out. But I ended up finding a land, and this game is just amazing. It really shows like just how strong the Bloodsky Berserker is with these lower casting cost cards. So I ended up taking the Questing Beast out. It's a nice Heartless Act. Kind of really set the tone for a comeback. I think if they were playing like old school Food, I would have no chance of coming back in this deck, but this is some sort of new wave mono green that I'm not totally experienced with, but I'm sure it plays Gem Razor because I did see those Stone Coil Serpents in the game, which is a good combo now. It's hard to kill a mutated creature with counters on it. So this was an easy move just to buff out and play the Selfless Savior. This is going to be the main combo you want to use with this deck is on the curve. You want to play Selfless Savior first, and then your Bloodsky Berserker next on turn 2. That's kind of like probably one of the more ideal plays, unless you have to adjust, which there is ability to adjust with this deck. Especially with the Hateful Eidolon, you can play different types of defensive maneuvers with the different types of removal in the deck. So we have an eliminate plan for that Scavenging Ooze. And yeah, I think we do get another land of. I'd say the deck is pretty much stabilized. I know it sounds crazy, but if you look at my hand, and I've basically sort of set the tone for the Bloodsky just to get out of control. So I opt to take out the Ooze now. And we're going to get in there with the Berserker. And, you know, I did get fortunate too. They definitely, even with a henge out, they caught their Florahedrons like 3 out of the 4 in the deck. That's kind of lucky. And a couple lands too, just unfortunate for them. But at this point, like I said, like I was pretty confident that I could start building up the Bloodsky Berserker, and this was a decent block. It was just a bad attack by them. I actually got to take out one of their Florahedrons, but just losing to Eidolon is fine. So land starts coming now, and we are sitting really nice now. Don't want to play out the hand because I want to keep the 2 spell a turn beef going with a Berserker. So we will run out the another Savior. And another attack, and I also tap it with the Vessel. It's just easy to get in there with it. They don't want to kill it because they know I have a Lurrus. So I get in for a good amount of damage. This was another really easy block for me. They come in with a Haven. I thought they were going to lose it, but they end up having a saving spell for it, and I just chumped with the Savior on the Mammoth, and I didn't lose the. I did not lose the Berserker. So I won't reveal the ending, but you will see how important the Owl Seeds are in this deck. It really comes in at the end and really shows off the strength of it. And it definitely won 2 games, 2 important matches, just with that combination. I will get the trigger next turn too, because I'll be able to play 2 spells with Aluris, and I'll have that all in my turn. So we grant the Berserker protection from green and hit for a good amount of damage again. So I'm probably expecting to see the Bloodsky Berserker being played a lot more. It just seems like too good of a card not to play. And I think I prefer it actually to the Aspirant, the Luminarch Aspirant. And then he scoops. So that was a great game, and like I said, an awful game at the same time. So good start so far. We're 2-0. And we definitely like that draw. Playing like a nasty mono black build right there. Have our 2 vessels, a thirst, a dead weight, and a call of the Death Dweller. It seems like it cannot be beaten. This game is pretty non-eventful, as I recall. I'm pretty sure the opponent was kind of discouraged, to say the least. I am telling you how many times I see Gruul having to spend a Fabled Passage on turn 2. Why don't you just play a Temple? You could play it on turn 1 and then fill your deck with Pathways. I don't get I mean, they want to play the Fabled Passage for their Mammoth, but really, like, lose a lot of tempo. Could have Bone Crushed my Eidolon. Yeah, so this is sort of like, it's either a disconnect or like, which I was kind of thinking it was, but the thing is like the turns, I think he does end up making a play. Or he was disconnected, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that I had an upper hand on this. Have a lot of value. He does play a creature. Myers Grasp is available. And I ended up just playing out all the creatures I have. Have enough removal for anything he sends out next turn. Yeah, I'm figuring out some disconnect. But you will notice that this deck doesn't play many lands. It plays 21, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being on the low side. Missing a land drop is not the end of the world for this deck, and it does really well around the 3 land, 4 land mark. You don't want to get flooded with this deck. You don't want to play 23 or 24 lands with it. It just would not work. You want to have lots of cards to play to activate all of our abilities with the different cards we're playing. So that wasn't much of a game, but we'll take it and move on to the next one. So this deck was kind of been like a arduous task to create. I actually made a Orzhov deck earlier in the week that was playing well, and then it started to lose a lot. I was running into Genesis Ultimatum decks, and I really wasn't having a good time. I tried to use cards like Kite Sail, Freeboater, and Valky. I tried to experiment. I wanted to get into the opponent's hands and take away the threats. But in the end, those cards just didn't have very good interaction with each other, and they weren't fast enough. So that brought me just to the idea of putting together a deck that could still use the Eidolon, but could also perhaps have a chance against the control decks. So that's why I play a few Duresses in this deck. I play 2 Duresses, just to have that chance opportunity to get a hold of some higher value cards, sorceries, or instants they might be playing, or artifacts. And it's been really, really good to me so far. This is one of the games that I definitely could have held on to and eliminate. I definitely was really eager to get my Blood Sky going, and I definitely wasted the eliminate. I definitely should have saved that for the Croxa, and it ended up definitely costing me this game. That's the thing. If just a tip to play this game, of course we want to get our Blood Sky Berserker going, but there also has to be that moment when you're thinking ahead and planning for those threats, and when those triggers aren't really as important as maybe as taking out what they're going to be doing and anticipating that. So this is the first presentation of Croxa that they play, and there was an opportunity to kill it later again. So this one was a pretty easy move for me. I enchanted it, and then I destroyed it. So I got a card out of it too, just trying to catch up a little bit. So here comes another Croxa. So that was an easy, just put the vessel in the graveyard, easy fold. Set it up for later, and the Timray calls it dead, so good sequence for them right there. Yeah, so I should have definitely saved this for the Croxa. That thirst, totally. But I was like, ooh, I gotta make a trigger. You gotta be careful with that. And that definitely cost me the game. So you can see the deck is good. The player is that's always the number one. The factor in all these games is you always have the mistakes that the other person is going to make or you're going to make. And once the Woe Strider came out, this was definitely a scoop. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts to lose. Definitely hurts. But it's good to watch this back and kind of see like my thoughts about my play afterwards. It's definitely similar. I'm not surprised. I went for that trigger because that's sort of the main point of this deck, is to trigger the Blood Sky. They had a really good sequence and they were able to fill their graveyard up, and they had another Croxa, so that was a good game for us. Yeah, there was really no really point of continuing too much further, and anything that I tried to go for, they were just going to sack, so I'd never get any triggers. I think I went for the Eidolon on this one. It's kind of funny. It was an easy block for them. They just discard. Any card I get, they just discard it. It's just... oof, it's just so brutal. Yeah, I think that's going to be kind of a tough matchup for us. The Rakdos deck, black and red. It's because they do a lot of possession and sacrificing. And obviously, that's kind of exactly what we're catering for them. Lots of creatures. So this opening hand looked fine. Just a good amount of removal, good amount of card draw, and a creature. So it checked off a lot of what we want. And that was a good draw on the top. And no plays. What do we do? Yeah, that was an easy play. We're kind of guarding against the Bone Crusher for our Blood Sky Berserker. Kazunda Mammoth. So that was very fortunate too. We just played out the Berserker and just brought the Mammoth down to a 1-1. No need to do a double dead weight on it yet. I mean, we don't have to fear a henge or anything like that, and we were able to go in for an attack too. So we'll get it next turn, no problems. So the strengths of this deck, obviously, I'd say it seems to be performing really well against Gruul. Rakdos might be a tough matchup. Control is going to be a tough matchup. But this deck can't overcome those obstacles. It wins. Right now, it seems they were selecting the cards, maybe looking for some removal, or not really sure. I think they are going to end up going with an ooze right now. Yes. So we finish off the mammoth, get a couple cards, and that was awesome. I think they end up eating the mammoth at this point too. I think we just played our hand. We're not really concerned about the ooze too much. I did want to get inside of their hand at this point. And now we have our also our protection with the Selfless Savior. And we got rid of an Embercleave. So that was a great duress. Really good. I don't want to go in with the Archfiend Vessel against the ooze because they'll just eat it. So just better just to keep it back. And of course they go in for an attack. It's like the number one thing to do with a Goldspan Dragon is to go in and attack immediately. But the defenses are down, and there's another 2-spell turn. Definitely time to take out the ooze and keep this train rolling. And this is just a lot of damage now. I think the Bloodsky Berserker could be up to a 7/7 at this time. And now we can see how important that Embercleave was to duress the Embercleave. I'm not sure if they would have had lethal. It would have been close. And that brings us to, if you stayed on, you're about to see the best game that Orzhov will ever have. Yeah, I believe this is the game where we play the Genesis Sultai Ultimatum deck and we win. This is the game. Alright, we're going to lead with the Vessel on this one. You know, and you'll see at the very end, I probably probably could have ended it a turn earlier. And even though I still missed it, we still pull this off. I mean, there's not many decks that can survive a Genesis Ultimatum. You're really not supposed to. The game is just supposed to end after that. But somehow we find a way to win. So this is why the duress is so important. So I play out duress, and we get the first Genesis Ultimatum. We get it. I look at the Binding of the Old Gods, and that doesn't concern me. I'm concerned about the Genesis Ultimatum. They're going to get there. They have all the tools they need to get to that card. So we're definitely going to get that out of the way. So Binding of the Old Gods is going to come out. And isn't this like the typical story? It's like it's you versus the world when you're playing this deck. They have all those tools just to ramp up and kill everything on the way. I decide to go for get the vessel into the graveyard. Nice draw. Get our Call the Death Dweller. Very nice. So yep, this is kind of a setup turn for them. I do believe they purchased the Yorion now. After a little deliberation. Alright, so immediately go for that. And we'll get our 5/5 demon token. And a little bit of protection. So there you go. Nice turn for us. So, I mean, that's the recovery right there. That is a beautiful turn. Call of the Death Dweller. Get a 5/5, a 3/3, and a 1/1 that offers end of your card's protection. It's like kind of hard to beat that. So they're going to be able to dig now with that. Whether they have Genesis Ultimatum yet or not, I think we can actually watch to see if they did top it or not, or have it in their hand already, just by looking at the cards right now. So they have a Maze Mine too. Do they have an Ultimatum in their hand yet? I'm not sure, but it's possible. Let's see if they put, say, top or bottom right now. Let's see. Searching. Okay, they took one in there. It's hard to see when I'm narrating over this. The screen is so small. Alright, so that's an easy play. No buff up on the Berserker this turn. Definitely want to keep a little bit of protection available. And they're down to 8. So if it's the left card, the very left card, then they did top it. That'd be kind of interesting, but I think they had it. They didn't scry for anything. So they ended up playing the passage. Or I wonder if that fixed any mana. Yeah, they had it. Probably from the Omen. So I have played against this hand, and I actually have played this deck. I have a deck I showed off called Gargoyle Ultimatum, which I think is the better version of Genesis Ultimatum decks. Has the henge in it. I think it's just more reliable. But everyone can play whatever they want. So going through my head right now, I'm thinking I'm okay with a Valky or a Tybalt and a Voronclex because I have my 5/5 that can fly over, and I can also grant Menace with my Berserker, but they show us a really naughty ultimatum. They show us an extra turn, a Shadow's Verdict, and Cure Best to See God. And I'm not too jiggy with the extra turn and the Shadow's Verdict. However, after thinking it through, I thought definitely the Shadow's Verdict is definitely not acceptable. We're going to give him that extra turn. Now, the thing about this Cure Best to See God, yes, it is an 8/8, but I have a lot of life, and I have a protection creature. So if they try to possess any of my permanents later on, I can just grant it protection. And you can see I have also an LC in my hand. So honestly, unless they have like another ultimatum or an extinction event or another Shadow's Verdict at this time, we're going to be in pretty good shape. So that was easy. I was able to grant protection on that one. I named Black just for other future spells. Going for a pretty good hit. And now's their turn, so now it's our turn. And I think I definitely want to run out the Alcide as well with Aluris. Yep. So alright. So I believe they went for one of my lands because I figured that I was just going to probably sacrifice the Alcide to grant protection. So they took my planes. Interesting. So the thing which I could have done, which you'll see, and I don't know if it really, I think it does matter, but I do get the victory anyways. I could have double Alcide the Bloodscab Berserker and the Demon token. I could have granted protection to blue and hit for 12. I definitely was thinking of the Alcide giving protection for the Bloodscab Berserker to get through. I just didn't think it through. I just wasn't thinking through all the way. And perhaps maybe they could have had some sort of black removal, but I don't think they did. Once I granted protection to blue to the Blood Sky Berserker. I don't think that was on the table anymore. But maybe because I double LC'd, maybe they knew I could have granted protection of black to that as well. So we go in right here. We're going to grant protection to blue. There's no response there. So I definitely could have... Oh, but Alcide has Summoning Sickness. So I wouldn't have been able to grant protection anyways. Interesting. So, like, this is kind of unbelievable. Like, this kind of creature deck that can be so aggressive, but can hang with the ultimatum deck. It kind of is awesome. I need to scoop. So it was the greatest feeling. Couldn't believe it. Just cannot believe it. And I mean, it's not like they played crappy either. They ramped up well. They had all the tools, and we just took them down. Hope you enjoyed the video, everybody. Let's get up to 100 views on this one. Let's go. Let's get some subscribers, yo. Show me some lovin's. Bye.